What is up, everybody? Happy Friday. Sup. We got some cool guests today. Welcome, Matic. What's up? Oh,
Oh,
here we
GM,
go.
GM,
GM,
GM. I
GM.
was just sending this thing out, man. I was just in
This
some
is
group chats
Matic's
getting this
first
thing
Twitter
popping.
space, so everybody welcome him here to the space.
Yeah, right. I think this, yeah, I've lost count, man. Sup in the Pond's been running a long time
Yes.
now.
What up? What up?
Uh,
Let's
we definitely wound this one back too. It's an hour earlier than normal. It's 6 a.m. over here, man, and I was up late
Oh,
making some
that's
crazy
funny.
AI
I
art,
forgot that
so
it's that
I'm
early
pretty
for you,
dusted.
bro.
Yeah, man. But yeah, we today we're going to be talking about Collab.land. This is going to be
Yeah, let's
sick.
get into it.
So, Angelique, how you doing?
GM, everybody. I'm so excited to be here
Hello.
Friday, end of the week. I have not been on a SupDucks Twitter Spaces before, but I will say I'm a huge fan and an old friend. And so I'm just very excited to be here with all
Oh,
of you. So thanks for having
yeah,
me.
well, this is a long time overdue, so thanks for joining.
No, thank you. This is
100%.
going to be fun. Yeah.
For sure, for sure. Well, so how it works is pretty much we just record this space. People generally start popping in as we're running through, and yeah, if they like what they're hearing, they listen back from where they missed. So we can get right on into it. So do you want to give us a little bit of a backstory how you ended up in Web3 and what you've been doing? Because anyone who's clicking on your bio right now is going, oh, okay, you're running the show at Collab.land. So yeah, how did you get in there and how did you position yourself in this spot?
Yeah, thank you. Sure, I can start there. Well, number one, I'm Anjali Young. I am the co-founder and CCO, which is Chief Community Officer, which means I get to do all the people-facing stuff like this, where where I get to talk to people. I get to, be out at conferences. I also am a member of the support team, the comms team. Yeah, I run a media team meetup in our Discord server. I don't know, kind of all the things that are people related is me. How did I get started in the space? That's a good question. I would say my story goes back many years, not necessarily the crypto part of it, but the online community part of it. So I started with online communities very, very early, actually during my senior year of high school and my first year of college. I was very much involved with online communities. Back then, it wasn't called the internet. I'm talking about 1992 and 1993. I have no problem aging myself. I feel like women should be very open about how old they are. And it's important for people to see that there are women of all ages in the space, working side by side with men that are half our age. So always happy to talk about that. Thank you so much. Right? We need to be as welcoming as possible. So for me, it's important to be proud of it. Anyway, so I started back in 92, 93, dialing up to online communities. We didn't even call them online communities. We called them BBSs, which is bulletin board service. So we would dial in, I would dial in, I would meet people online, then I would go meet them in real life. It was super sketchy, but I did it anyway because it was so much fun. And then over the years, I've always been involved with online communities, starting with Live Journal. I was pretty much sharing my entire adoption journey. I'm an adoptive parent, so sharing all of that, getting to meet other adoptees, just always been in touch with what's happening online. And even now, most of my friends are online versus people I know in real life, mainly because we've moved around a lot. And it's just been easier for me to keep up online. And the connections that you make online through online communities are sometimes deeper and richer than the ones you even have in real life because you're sharing more personal details with them. Um, and for me, for example, like I said, I'm an adoptive parent. I've done a lot of different things over the years, and I've been able to find people who are into that particular thing. And so you can kind of go deeper with people. Anyway, so that's kind of where I come from, which is online communities. Before I came into crypto, I was a Facebook mod for a group of 60,000 people for transracial adoption. My children are a different race than I am. And so it was adoptees, adoptive parents, and birth families, first families were all in a group, 60,000 people. And that's kind of where I came from. So by the time I got involved with crypto, Collab.land had started. We started as a bridge. A bridge is a corporation. A bridge started as a social recovery wallet back in 2018. There really wasn't much interest for a social recovery wallet at that time, but we were trying to get people to come into crypto. And how do you get them to come in when they have to remember their seed phrase or their private key, and people were losing them? And how are we going to get over that when we're coming from a culture where you can just click forgot password? And so that was the original idea, but we just didn't get much traction. And then we pivoted to this no code tooling. And then Collab.land, ironically, was just one way to use our no code tooling. So we came up with this concept of Collab.land and said, okay, this can be a way if developers look at Collab.land, they'll say, oh, maybe I can build something fun for myself too. Well, we're all here 3 years later, and people just liked the idea of Collab.land and the idea that you can have a group based on the asset that you own. It started off very, very simple. It started off as a DAO tool, which is, do you own a Moloch share or do you not own a Moloch share of a particular DAO? If you do, then you can get in. If you don't, then get out. And then it moved into all ERC20 tokens, and this is long before NFTs were even on the horizon. It wasn't until the spring of 2021 that Bored Ape started using Collab.land. Really, nobody talked to anybody at Bored Ape. They just saw our product and said, hey, this would be a cool thing for us to do. We just launched this project, Bored Ape. Now, what if we got everybody that owns a Bored Ape into a Discord chat together? And so that's when it got on our radar of, oh, this could be really, really useful for all of these NFT communities that are coming up. So my job, being the people person, was to contact every single new NFT community that I saw coming up on Twitter, DMing them from the Collab.land account, and pretty much begging them to try something like Collab.land. Look, token gating, you've probably never heard of it before. It didn't exist before, but you have all these people that just bought your NFT. How about getting them into a group together? So at that point, I was literally convincing people to give our free product a try. And I had to do that for a few weeks. And after a few weeks, everybody I contacted said, oh yeah, we're already using Collab.land. It's fine. You don't need to bother us anymore. So that was kind of it, like the origin story.
Wild times. Yeah, there was a lot. There was a packed intro. There's a lot to sort of break down there, but
Sure.
naturally, as the degen that I am, I'm going to say, so the apes contacted you that early. Did you
No, they
snipe
didn't
one?
contact us. I mean, we're a permissionless product. And so we were like, what is this thing, Bored Ape? And then checked out their Discord server and said, they're using Collab.land. And then, of course, we saw that there were lots of new people joining Collab.land, right, from the infrastructure side. And we're like, what's going on here? Oh, this is an amazing idea. We should get all the NFT communities to do this because, boy, now it's not just having a NFT to have an NFT, but now this NFT can be a membership to an NFT community. The concept of NFT community didn't exist before that. I mean, we had known about NFTs starting in about October of 2020 with Meme. We had a group called Meme and our members of the Meme community back then. They launched Beeple and Ferocious and lots of other NFT artists. But it was mostly like one-of-one work, and it wasn't like community style NFT. So NFTs were definitely on the radar, but the NFT as a community tool or as a membership token wasn't on our radar. Like with Meme, they had a meme token, and then you could earn pineapple points, and then with the pineapple points, you could buy NFTs. So the NFT as a building block for membership in a community, that was not on our radar until Bored Ape. And I always love to credit Bored Ape with that because they did not contact us. They just started using Collab.land, but it definitely was like opened up a whole new world for the usage of Collab.land. And maybe other NFT community or NFT projects would have started using it anyway, just based on Bored Ape using it. But for us, it was like, okay, this is something cool. And for me personally, like I'm an NFT fan. I own SupDucks. I had two SupDucks at one point, but then I gave one to my teammate Alok because he loved it so much. So I gave him one of my SupDucks. It was a pothead SupDuck, and now he uses it on our Collab.land website as his bio. So he uses his SupDuck for that. So I used to have two SupDucks. I absolutely love them. I've given away so many KingFrogs. I think they're so adorable. And whenever anyone says like no one's in it for the art, I say that's not true for me. I'm absolutely in it for the art and for the fun. Like for me, I just love collecting. And so anyway, back to NFTs. NFTs, because they appealed to me and because I thought, you know what, collectibles are huge and these are fun and cute and collectible. Like this just made sense. And then using them as a membership token just made sense. And so I credit Bored Ape for kind of being the first people to use it in that way and inspiring Collab.land, really us. Up until that point, we were mostly going to be a DAO tool. And so for me to now be able to say, hey, let's not just be a DAO tool and build up the DAO stack, but let's kind of try to move obviously to supporting all the chains and trying to kind of go up the NFT stack, right? Like go to metadata gating and find other ways that we can support NFT communities. We actually have a royalty detection rule that if somebody pays a royalty, then you're going to be able to give them a special rule. So it's like trying to support NFT communities. That's the reason for that, and the excitement behind that is that average people that maybe are not hyper financialized, don't have the money to spend in crypto specifically, like are not just traders, right? Maybe are not just DAOs, right? Because DAOs themselves are pretty niche, or were at that point. NFTs is something that could be open to lots of different types of people who love art, people that love community, people that love collecting. Like there's so many interesting things about NFTs, and we still see them today. People are interested in NFTs. There are auctions happening all the time. The Sotheby's auction that happened recently. So NFTs aren't going anywhere, and I think that universal appeal of art and culture, and having more attraction in art and culture, and bringing artists into the space, like all of that was so exciting, and it still is so exciting for me, and exciting for me in a way that just trading coins or trading fungible tokens or watching charts all the time, or even participating in DAOs all the time. It's more interesting to me in this way. So it inspired me, and Bored Ape absolutely was the leader in that. And they definitely deserve credit for thinking about using Collab.land for a membership token, because it's really why we're all here, is that they did it. And so it inspired all of us to kind of support in that direction.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Like you say, when you buy an NFT, it comes with the community aspect, so it's epic to hear.
Hey,
Interesting
I
you
also
say
just
that.
wanted
That's
to
sort of
chime in really quickly and say that this space is at like a abnormal time for us. So we are recording it just for those people who do end up missing this, and we're actually going to be posting this to YouTube as well, because you're saying a bunch of good stuff. So we want to make sure people hear that. So we're going to post a video after this with the full space recorded.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I think the more people that know, especially, and I'm going to wait for questions, but I will tell you I have a lot of thoughts, and I'm excited to share them with people who are in the NFT space. But especially now, we're still waiting for that bottom capitulation, right? Like, when is it coming? When are we going to get to the bottom? I was calling it peak capitulation, but peak capitulation seems like a oxymoron. So just the very bottom. We're still in the bear market. We're losing people. We just put out a little study. There was a study about developers in the space, and we've lost a lot of the developers that have been here in the last year. We've lost, but 80% of the developers that have been here over 12 months have stayed. So we've lost a lot of people within the last year. We may start losing a bit more. Like I said, we're still in the bear market, which means everyone's hibernating. You can't take as many risks. You can't put as many products out. You can't look at the number and get excited. It's not an easy time. And for those of you that have been through bear markets in the past, you know that this is definitely the time you start losing people. People's just, it's FUD and bad sentiment and just negativity all over. So being able to remind everyone about how far we've come and how many new people have joined the space and how many more people know about crypto and NFTs and have wallets, like, it's not as bad as it was the last time. And every time another bear market happens, like, we are moving toward a positive trajectory. And so I just want to try to remind people about that. And I mean, I can keep going. I will, just a teeny bit longer if you'll indulge me.
Do
But
it. Do it.
what, sorry. But what we've seen with the last bull run is that community matters. Like, we haven't brought people into this space at the levels of we did last bull market. And with the NFTs and with communities matter. Communities are a path for people to join us in this space and in this innovation that we're trying to do in this new world we're building. Communities are a way to do that. Immigrants through the history of time have found community as a way to keep themselves safe when they enter new worlds, to have identity when they're entering new worlds, to teach each other, to avoid mistakes. There's just so many reasons why community is so important when you're entering into a new world, a new dimension. And yeah, we saw that. We saw that again repeat itself from the beginning of humanity 150,000 years ago. We've been doing it. We travel together in groups for a reason. And so we saw it again during this bull market, and which means this is the beginning of more. All those people that joined the last time are telling each other and are telling others. And we just have to kind of support them during this time, during this bear market right now. It's like, how do we just get through it? We get through it by sharing spaces like this, by remaining active ourselves. Like, this is what's going to get us through it, because this isn't going to last forever. And when the bull market comes back and we get all these new people, we want more educated people in the room to help us. I say, like, last time the bull market felt like a fire hose. And I don't know, at SupDucks, you probably felt that as well. So yeah, I'd want to know your experience about that.
Yeah, yeah. Bull run vibes were crazy. Like you say, people dropping off and exiting the space. I mean, a lot of people got wrecked, specifically on NFTs. If you're out here buying super tippy tops in 21 and 22, it left a pretty foul taste in people's mouth when they experienced the start of the bear market. But the people who have stuck around, yeah, are definitely here for the long haul. So I see what you mean. I agree. And people are still getting onboarded. We get people dropping into subs all the time. They drop into the pond. They say, yo, we've seen you guys in 2021, 2022. You're a little too expensive at that point in time. I've waited and I finally joined, and they get to hit that Collab.land and get that holders role. So it's sick to see. How are you feeling about like the future of all these OG collections? Do you think there's going to be a big rush of all these historical collections? I mean, Bored Apes are obviously always going to be relevant. Punks are always going to be relevant. I think SupDucks are always going to be relevant, being so early. Another one, Guttercat being say. How are you feeling about all of that? You think it's going to be a big meta later in the years down the track?
It really comes down to the founders. I can tell you because I'm a founder, and it's not an easy time for anybody, right? And so it really isn't a situation where you're like, which brand or which NFT collection is going to sustain. It's going to be the power of the founders themselves, if they maintain interest, if they maintain a commitment. And then on the second hand, and this kind of just to bring up some data that I got today, which is like Arbitrum. Arbitrum has moved into the third spot with Collab.land communities this week. So we do like a little bit of data sharing during our core team meeting every Friday. And one of the pieces of data that came out is ETH mainnet is on top, Polygon is second, and Arbitrum is third in terms of like not total number of communities, but who has had the most members join a community and the most communities that have been formed this week. And it's been Arbitrum, and it's not coming from the founders of Arbitrum. It's not coming from the core team of Arbitrum. It's coming from the community itself. And so one, I would say founders specifically for projects that if they're giving up on the project and there isn't any more attention or support for that project, I think it's going to be difficult. However, even if you're in that situation and there isn't direction from the founders or the core team, like, the community also has control here. I mean, that's the whole point of blockchain. That's the whole point of digital ownership, which is we all have ownership. Now with Collab.land, I mentioned it was permissionless, so whoever can use it and whoever can create groups they want. If, for example, if SupDucks decides, oh, we're not going to support the community anymore, I'm not saying that's happening, I'm just using you as an example. Anybody in the community can create a brand new Collab.land community and use SupDucks, right? Use the tokens. We base verification on token ownership. So you don't have to be the founder of SupDucks in order to create a community around SupDucks. You can just do it. And so what we're going to see is obviously the projects that have strong founders that are committed to getting through the bear market. I think a lot of them maybe just joined during the bull. That's going to be rough because emotionally it's extremely draining. Bear markets are draining. Hopefully they have lots of support. And I will tell you, there's a lot of community members can be supportive, but they can also, and you guys know it too, they're the first ones to tell you that you're fucking up and you better do better. And so people have to have a really strong network, a strong mental and physical constitution to get through this time. So I would say, let's give founders some grace, but understand that we're all in this together. And so we should support our founders to keep going, but also you, community, all the members of communities have the ability to do it alone as well. Like, you don't have to just depend on the community that's been formed by the project owner. You can go out and make your own community, like, own it. That's the whole idea. It's permissionless. We all have power here. So let's not just give it all away. Let's not act like consumers. Let's not act like an audience. Like, let's take responsibility here. Let's take ownership and do it. So I would say, I can't predict who's going to do what. I don't know every single group. I'll tell you that the founders that I'm in relationship with, who I've met over the years, and who remain confidants and good friends of mine, who I've met through Collab.land, NFT founders, they're committed. And so I'm not saying people aren't having a hard time. Everyone's having a hard time. Let's just keep it 100% real. This is a hard, hard time. However, they're committed to doing this, and a little bit of support goes a long way. So just, think about the person on the other end of the texting or the comment that you're making, and think about your own personal responsibility in this too, because this isn't just buying something and then number go up. This is buying responsibility. This is it's ownership. It is a membership, and it belongs to you too. You're not a passive consumer here.
100%. 100% feel that. The SupDucks community, the people who have stuck around are here for the long haul. These guys are in the Discord every single day, supping. The gifts are getting made, the memes are getting made. The community just keeps getting stronger. It's epic to see. This space is actually even usually pretty packed out. We did wind it back the hour earlier than normal, so I guess a few people might get shook when they go to roll up and listen in, and I've missed it, but they can always hear it running it back.
I am so sorry about that. That's absolutely 100% on me. I have another event that starts at the top of the hour, and I can't miss it. So we're actually,
You're fine.
Collab.land is... Oh, good. Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
no,
Yeah,
no, don't.
100%. That's why we record these things. We don't get people coming up. We try to keep the conversation just strictly to the guest. Not often do we open up the speaker panel, so it's fine. Everyone can get in on this recording. Like Austin said, we're gonna have a little bit of YouTube content coming out as well. So yeah, we can keep this thing popping. I'm sure you got more to say in general. You just wanted to keep this conversation rolling.
Yeah, I mean, happy to. Really, it's important. And the reason I want to do this, and why I'm so glad you could accommodate my schedule today, is because the relationships are what's going to matter. Like, it's really hard, and I'm harping on this a little bit, but it's mainly because this is really the conversations that I'm having every day, not only with project founders, but with other founders in the space, with with the collectors in the space, how there's just so much, it just feels so down right now. And people are really, really having a hard time. Are they going to survive? Can you survive this? And so that's kind of why I'm harping on that a little bit. But that's why spaces like this are important. Friends, it is about the relationship. Maybe not friends all the time, but the relationships that you are making. And the people that are here now, just like what you said about the people that show up in the server, like those are your people. And those are going to be the people when new people come in that you're going to be able to count on. So one thing that I would kind of recommend to people is to shift away from the idea of this being hyper financialized and it only being for money. Think about crypto in general, blockchain in general, as a revolution, and how just like the beginning of the internet, and I'll talk really quickly about that. But my first job graduating from college was at an internet company, and I didn't think then that this was the beginning of the internet, a whole new world, and that someday we'd all be communicating on the internet all the time, and it was going to be ubiquitous to our daily life as much as electricity. I mean, yes, we all need electricity, but if we don't have Wi-Fi or if we don't have internet connection, I think some of us would even forego having the lights on if that meant we could have our phone or our computer. So that wasn't a thought back then. Back then it was, this is just something new and interesting and different. And I didn't think much about the fact, like, what would this look like in the future? At that point, people were just saying, oh, the internet, it's just all scams. Like, who's ever going to put their credit card on the internet? The internet is just porn. Like, there's nothing anybody really needs on the internet. The internet's never going to go mainstream. Yeah, that was absolutely the truth. That's what people were saying. And we actually had a bear market in the internet too. It was way worse than the bear market. They called it the dot-com bust. Right? It was over. The internet is dead. All the companies that had been working beforehand, they all crashed to zero, and nobody was interested in this thing called the internet. Well, this is the same thing right now that's happening with blockchain and cryptocurrency. This is a way for people to come together on a global level on a way that they've never been able to do before. Like, now we can share the same financial asset, we can share the same money, we can be in groups together. You see it in SupDucks too. You can have a taxi cab driver from Indonesia and the president of some tech company from Silicon Valley, and they're in the same group together. We have broken down barriers in who gets to communicate with each other and who gets to be a part of the same community, the same group, the same club. Like, we haven't had that ever in the history of the world, where we're crossing global boundaries, geographical boundaries, religious boundaries, age boundaries, gender boundaries, because we can all be anon or pseudo anon now too. Like, we just haven't had that before. And so don't count crypto out, don't count blockchain out. And if you can see it, if I can show you that and tell you, like, look, just like the internet itself was huge, and now you look back and say, duh, of course that was going to make it. The sole reason it made it is because human beings want to be together. We want to learn from each other. It's what we've done since the beginning of time: be together, communicate together, coordinate together. It's what we are meant to do as a species. And so there's really no way this is also not going to work out in the long run, because this also reduces friction for coordination. And we're seeing coordination at the human global level. So my advice would be, don't count it out, number one. And if you think about it that way, like, we're going to be able to solve some of humanity's greatest problems together now that we have the same incentives around money. I mean, what's been stopping us around money up until this point is politics, geography. Our money is run by the government. We all have different governments. They get to decide who we get to transact with. This person's okay, this person's not okay. Oh, that person doesn't have a bank account, then no to that person. That person lives in this country, so no to that person. We've had so many limitations over how we can globally coordinate. And now those restrictions are falling away every day. And so thinking about how now that we can have the same incentives, now we can work together at a deeper, richer, faster level. we pay a lot of our contractors with stablecoin, right? And that's very different and easy from getting their wire instruction and making sure that they're banked and making sure that their bank will accept our bank and the wire transfer we send from our side can be sent to their side. Like, how quickly can you just hire someone? You mentioned gifts, right? People are making gifts, people are making emojis. Like, if you want one of your PFP, like, you could hire anybody right now and be like, hey, do you want to make it? Doesn't matter what country they're in, doesn't matter how old they are, doesn't none of that matters, right? Like, one of the unbanked, the biggest unbanked are boys between the age 14 and 18. And it's like, before they couldn't have access to being paid, right? Because they're not getting a bank account. They may not even have state identification, but now even you could hire them to do something, right? So it's like, the way we're seeing the ability to work together and innovate and coordinate together, we've just never seen before. So that's just not going away. So for everybody listening, I would say work on your reputation. That was my point. I get too excited about all the other stuff, but my point is work on your reputation right now, work on your relationships, meet new people, take on more responsibilities. There's a real opportunity here. Every time there's a huge shift like this in financial assets, there becomes an opportunity for more people to raise their own status in the world. And so what I would say to you is, don't think so much about, oh, my NFT that I bought last year is no longer, I can't sell it for the same amount this year. Think about, like, what can I do with this now? I'm here in this space. We're in it for the long run. This is going to change the world. What could I do now that when the bull market comes, I can position myself into a better situation, which is get a job, maybe a job in crypto that you want, but maybe you don't qualify for now, but you will in the future. Speaking about jobs, I will say, even when we hire, for Collab.land or a bridge, it's not so much where you came from or what college you went to and if you graduated and what your degree was. It's, what did you do? What have you been doing since you've been here? What are you the most interested about? Like, if you're curious about the space and you've shown with action that you have done work in the space and created some change in the space, then we want to know about you. So forget about all that bullshit from before, which is, oh, I'm born in the wrong country and my parents didn't have money, so I didn't get to go to college. Like, forget, or for whatever reasons you couldn't go to college or you couldn't get a degree. We're very, very open to neurodivergent people in this space, and it's not talked about enough, but opportunities are opening up for everybody at so many different levels. People that wouldn't be able to work or handle being in a traditional business space now have the opportunity to create money for themselves and for their families and take themselves out of a whole situation that maybe they were in before that was not working for them and they felt hopeless, and now there's this chance. So work on your reputation, work on what you can do, meet people, build relationships, show what you're doing. One thing that we do in Collab.land is we have, and anybody can do it, really, you guys can do it too. Anyone that has a Collab.land bot installed can instantly add the Kudos app into their server. So with Collab.land, now I'm kind of getting into another topic, but if you'll indulge me, I'm going to go a little bit into this, and it goes with reputation. So thank you all. Anyway, so with Collab.land, it's not only token gating. Token gating is where we started. Of course, it is our core product. It's what everyone depends on, and we continue to grow it. And it will always remain important because it is really minimum viable DAO. Really, it's getting people together, and I use DAO casually there to mean just a group of people that have a shared asset and a shared interest and share mission, vision, and values. So that's the way I'm using DAO, though. So you definitely need the token gating part of it. However, what can we do to support our members and support our admins and support our communities right now, where you're not just staring at number go up? And just like what I was mentioning about reputation, Collab.land is helping with that. And the way we help with that is there's a mini app called Kudos. And again, anybody that has the Collab.land bot installed, any admin can add it. And the Kudos mini app allows admins and mods to give verifiable credentials to their members and allows members to give verifiable credentials to each other. Now, verifiable credentials are encrypted. You can know who's sending it to who and when. And so collecting these verifiable credentials right now is going to be super duper meaningful. Anything you can do to build a reputation right now is going to be meaningful. And one of the beautiful, exciting things about on chain activity and cryptography is that we are removing the gatekeepers. And so, just like I talked about how you don't have to have gone to a certain college or gone to college at all, or it doesn't matter where you lived and what your history has been like. I want to know what you did in crypto. This is the same story, which is I want to know what you did in crypto, and I don't need to ask anybody else to vouch for you because I have the data and I can look at it. And so I would just encourage everyone here to have just think bigger about this. Like, if you believe in crypto, what does that really mean that you believe in crypto? And if it's coming back, we're headed toward the world now recognizing that people want to be together, and having our own shared money is going to be crucial in human development and human relationships. We're tired of being separated. The internet kind of, let the cat out of the bag. We've felt it now. We know what it's like to be our own digital online nation state. And you can't now people are not going to let that go. We've already tasted something good. A lot of us like being a SupDuck, right? Maybe they would vote for something within SupDucks of what SupDucks is going to do, but they may not vote in their city council election. Right? Like, they're going to have much more interest about what's happening with their digital community, with people from all over the world that have this shared excitement, or however you've inspired them. So, all that to say, build your reputation. If you believe in this, if you're in this, then start making connections, start talking about how you can help people, how you can move the space forward. We all have a personal responsibility to do that. If you're here now and you want to see it grow, and you want to see it come back, and you want to see it sustain, then that's all on us. It all comes back to personal responsibility. We talk a lot about James and I, who's my co-founder and my partner and husband, and we've been together 28 years, so we do a lot of talking. And one of the things that we talk about is like how exciting and important it is for everyone to feel personal responsibility. And just like a child becoming an adult, right? My children will say, "Oh God, I don't want to get a job." And my husband and I we tell the kids all the time, like, you don't want to get a job because you don't want to grow up. But I promise, being an adult is so fun. You get to do what you want. You're not dependent on other people, and you get to live the life you really want to live. Like, you guys think it's cool to just have your parents pay for everything? Like, it's not that cool. Like, it's way cooler to take responsibility here and be able to be your own person and affect change in the world. Okay, the clapping is a bit disconcerting, but I'm going to go with it. But I would say, if you think about one thing about crypto, it's personal responsibility. Don't wait for somebody else to fix something. Figure out a way to fix something. If you have an idea for something and you think it's amazing, say it. Even in your community, say it. Hey, SupDucks guys, I have an idea for this. I'll take charge of it. I'll run it. Not just saying like, oh, I wish they would do something more. Like, this sucks. They don't do enough. Like, change your attitude, because this is really a time for you to do something really special, and let's just take it. So yeah, are we ready for it as humans? I think we are. So that's what I encourage people to do.
Wow, that was
Hell
epic.
yeah. Welcome to the
Let's
speed
go.
banger,
Oh my
Billy.
goodness.
Hey, Maddox, this would be a good time to maybe reset the room a little bit, intro Billy, and then let's remind everybody at the bottom of this space, just hit that little retweet button and get some more folks on in here.
Hell yeah. If you're just dropping in, welcome to Sup in the Pond. I know this is an hour earlier than usual, so a few of you are just rolling in now, which is perfect. Billy and Dave just showed up, and we've got Angela Lee from Collab.land, co-founder of Collab.land. So this has been an epic conversation. We're just going to keep it rolling, man. Billy, what's good?
What's up? Yeah, actually, apologies for rolling in late. I got stuck on a call that I honestly did not really want to be on. But it is what it is. Personal responsibility, right? What are you gonna do? But super excited to have you here on Sup in the Pond, and that was amazing. I feel like you've been on the road a bunch, and clearly it looks like it's paying off. I don't know what I missed, other than a bunch of great stuff. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about some of the stuff that you've been doing, right? Like, I see you've been doing the conference circuit, and obviously spreading the good word around crypto and blockchain and empowerment, which is awesome. But what are you seeing out there? Like, what's the point of all those travels, and what's your experience been like talking to all these folks? Because clearly it's resulted in a very powerful message.
Thank you. A lot of this is just comes out of just right now, really having to dig deep. And so this isn't even stuff I talk about when I'm out on the road, I guess I would say. Like most recently, I was at NFC Lisbon and I was at ETH Prague, and then I have a couple of things coming up. But just for the last two, to give people an example of what I'm doing on the road. At NFC Lisbon, I spoke about the challenges and the fear and all of the vulnerabilities that came out of launching a token. So it was very much, I went to Consensus this year and I heard a lot of founders being super vulnerable. And it really inspired me. And I think vulnerability gives people an opportunity to really know you and to help. And so I'm just, I don't know, I just realized like we can just change our voice here. We don't have to sound like everything's amazing all the time and everything's going to be great all the time and everything's winning, up, up, up. Like we can stop that crap right now, and we can just be real with people and not be afraid to be real with people. So I really credit some of the founders that I listened to at Consensus, be more vulnerable and open, and it really gave me the permission to also be vulnerable and open. So at NFC Lisbon, I spoke specifically about what happened, what our idealized version of what a token launch was, and then what our expectations were, and then what really happened, and some of the scary ass things that happened, and just being real about it. And so that was NFC Lisbon. And then at ETH Prague, I spoke specifically to a developer audience about our mini app marketplace and how it's really what Collab.land is trying to do right now. We've built up to this point on our own, right? I mean, with our admins and of course our members that put their trust in us, but with a very small core team, and how now in a bear market, we recognize that what people who are building in the crypto community space, number one, we want to support people who are building in crypto communities. We believe in crypto communities. That could be a whole other episode we can do about just crypto communities and why they're important and valuable. Yes. But we want to encourage people to keep building in the crypto community space, right? Like right now, communities are down and people are feeling sad and people are mad and there's just all this negativity and there's no interest and people are feeling stagnated. Like, how do we as Collab.land encourage people to build in crypto communities? Through the marketplace. And so that was a specific talk just for the Web3 marketplace. So that's kind of what I do on the circuit, which is I kind of talk about all different types of things. I don't, and this is going to sound horrible, but I'm an artist, I'm an improviser. I used to do a lot of different things, Billy. I used to have a lot of different interests. I used to
I know.
Right? Like I used to cook meals for my kids, but this world now, understanding how important it is and how special it is and how I get to have impact, right? Because people want to hear what I have to say. I stayed at home with my kids for many years. I homeschooled my kids for many years. I have a very different type of experience from most people who are tech company founders. The fact that people want to hear what I have to say is a huge responsibility. I feel a lot of responsibility around that, especially being an older woman. I just feel very responsible for being out there and for sharing what we do and how we do it and our opinions on things. And so I spend a lot of time thinking very deeply about the space. I would say I spend all of my time when I'm not necessarily working on an individual task, thinking deeply about the space. So if anyone's listening and wants to have me on, like I'm happy to talk about really any subject people throw at me around crypto, community, NFTs, any of this I'm happy to talk about. But I would say I don't necessarily talk about one thing. I'm going to be going to an event during ETHCC. It's called How to DAO, and I'm going to be talking about how to start a DAO. So, it'll be about that. And then I'm going to Japan after that. And that's going to be about how community is important. And is that really what was the important takeaway from the last bull market? So, you know, it really varies. It varies,
Yeah.
Billy. Yeah.
Of course. And just to rewind real quick on the, your sense of responsibility, if the conversations you're having out there at these events and with audiences are anything like what you've delivered here on the space, you're doing a phenomenal job. And so hats off to you for all of that. Since we've got you, since we're lucky enough to have you here with us, I'd love for, you mentioned kind of two things, right? Like a talk around the Collab.land token and what that experience was like, and a talk around the Collab.land marketplace and what you all are doing there. I know we don't have a ton of time left, so maybe if we could get like a quick summary of each of those as a way to, because I'm guessing most of the folks in the audience here weren't lucky enough to catch you at those events. So I'd love to bring them up to speed on what the experience was like for you launching the Collab.land token and what you guys are doing with the marketplace in like, 5-10 minutes.
In 10 minutes, sure, I can do that in 10 minutes. I will say, yes, it'll just be difficult to do in 10 minutes, but I'll try to give you the highlights. So the talk around the token was, why did we have a Collab.land token? Why Collab.land token? We've been doing this. We launched it in February of 2023. We've already been serving for 3 years. Like, why do we need a token? Why does Collab.land need a token? And Collab.land, as you know, is a free product, has been free up until this point. We just launched our dev portal last week that now Collab.land APIs as a product is available, and that is will be our first revenue generating product. But up until this point, it's a free product. No one's paid for Collab.land. So all these other tokens that have come out, right, like ENS or Optimism or Uniswap, really anyone that has a token, people have paid for that service. Either you've paid directly, like with ENS, where you buy an ENS name and you actually have to pay money to ENS to have a token, or to have an ENS name, or you pay in terms of transaction fees, right? Like with Uniswap or Optimism, whatever. You're paying some way. They're getting some money out of each individual member that uses their product. Collab.land doesn't. And so for us, it was like, what are we going to do and how are we going to do this? And why are we going to do this? Well, they kind of go hand in hand, Billy, because when we decided to move into being a opportunity for developers to join us and developers to create mini apps for the Collab.land marketplace and give developers a distribution channel, then we're like, okay, if we're going to have a marketplace, then we want a marketplace that's curated by the people who use our product. Let's try not doing the same crap that happens in every other social network or any sort of platform where the team at the top or the board of directors decides what features are going to go out to people, and that's it. Like, let's have our admins, members, people that are interested in Collab.land and have shown interest in Collab.land, let them be a part of that curation. So that's when the idea of the Collab.land DAO came up, which is we'll have mini apps come through the DAO. Members are going to vote on those mini apps, and then the marketplace will be a reflection of what people within the communities themselves want. And so that was one thing. Maybe that's another opportunity to keep products out that are misaligned with what people want. Like, we want to make sure we're always serving our communities. And so there might be misaligned incentives if you have a situation where people are adding mini apps to the marketplace that really nobody would want, or maybe are even extractive, right, of our communities. We don't want to do that. And so that was the idea of the marketplace. And then we decided to have a DAO to curate the marketplace. And then how do you do that? Well, then you have to give people voting. People need to vote within the DAO. And so that's where the idea of the Collab.land token came, which is the Collab.land token would be an opportunity to, one, allow the people that are developing for Collab.land to also appreciate the upside when an upside comes, building together, building slowly. If they have the Collab.land token, then they are going to be able to appreciate the benefit if Collab.land token goes up. So that's one. Having a sustainable, and I'm walking around, which means I'm kind of out of breath now. So I'm going to sit down for a second so I can finish. having a sustainable model for developers is important. Our CTO, Raymond Fang, comes from a rich, long history in open source and is very much aware of how open source developers do not get compensated. You work on an open source project, maybe 5 years from now, it becomes the next big thing. It makes tons of money. And then you, as your open source contributor way back then in 2018 or 2015 or whatever, are left behind. So there's really no sustainable model for open source developers. And could we do that? Try to do that too. While we're doing this, can we try to give developers an opportunity to win with us, win together? And so that was kind of the idea of a Collab.land token, and then also curating of the marketplace. So those were the reasons. And we're like, okay, we're not selling any token, right? So we didn't sell any Collab.land token. So there's no pre-selling to investors. These are things that I learned afterwards. So at first we're like, great, we're going to give our token to everyone that's in a Collab.land community. We're going to give it to the people who have a membership NFT, the people that, so in October of 2021, we did a membership NFT where we said anyone that's connected to Collab.land before October 31 of 2021, we'll give you a membership NFT. You're our first million users or first million members, like across the board, admins, mods, whoever. Like if you have connected with Collab.land before October 31, 2021, then you get to have this membership NFT. And then at the same time, we did a patron NFT. We have not had a Series A. We actually thought about doing a Series A in the summer of 2021, and it was just very difficult to, our original investors, our seed investors, believed in the dream, but now we're looking at summer of 2021. If you remember, this is like peak bull market. It was hard to find investors. Yeah, it was hard for us to find investors that we felt were going to understand our vision and be supportive of what we were trying to accomplish here. One is not sharing member data. We don't advertise. We don't sell advertising on our member data. That's pretty much the model for all free products, is that you sell your members' data and then advertisers pay big bucks for it, and then you make money and then you can continue the service. Well, we didn't want to do that. It's a very dystopian future if we're all sharing wallet addresses with advertisers, because that doesn't go away. They're going to be able to follow you forever. They're going to know every single person that you're interacting with. They're going to know where you are. Even if you're withdrawing money from that account to another account, then they know that other account. It's a very scary future if we all start giving that kind of information up. Even on this platform that I'm on right now, speaking to you, there's NFT verification, right, for profile picture. But when you do that, they have your credit card. They have, because you have to be a part of Twitter Blue. They have your home address. They have your Twitter name. And now they have your wallet address. Well, unless they're telling us they're not going to share that data, it's just too lucrative.
They're not telling us that.
Okay, right. They're not telling us that. So
Elon Musk is not saying that.
right. And so just remember, wherever you're sharing that information, it can no longer be unknown. No one can not know it again. Once they know it, they know it. And so for us, we're like, we don't want to go down that road. We want to keep member data sacred. The users should be able to share that data with explicit consent, that they have explicit consent to decide who they want to share that data with. It isn't going to be a situation where Collab.land is sharing your data. Now, that puts us in a very difficult situation. I'm not going to lie to you. Having a free product when you're not monetizing user data is a hard sell. And so when it comes to getting a Series A, it became a stumbling block. And so even though initially it was like, oh, no, you don't have to do that. We don't care if you do that or not. It became pretty obvious that it was going to be difficult for us to keep moving forward if we did take a Series A at that time. So it just felt too early. Like, we don't know what's going to happen here, but we want to err on the side of keeping everybody private as much as we can. Of course, I've learned over the years that privacy is relevant. In Asia, Asia really is the most casual about privacy. this idea of keeping your wallet address safe is really a European and American mindset, not so much a Asian mindset. And as we have so much adoption happening in Asia, just want to bring that up. Anyway, so then we decide to have this token. We have all these idealistic ideas, naive, looking back, it feels very naive ideas about what the token would be. We're like, yeah, we get it that everybody else is a pump and dump. We get it that everybody else just gets their airdrop and thinks they're going to sell it the next day for $20,000. But we're different, right? Like, no one's paid us anything, right? Like, any token they get from us, like, they shouldn't expect that, because every other airdrop they've gotten, they've actually paid that company. Like, we're inviting people to build a future together with us. Like, that's cool, right? Like, people are going to be into that. Well, no. I mean, we do have a certain amount of people that are into it and are, great. I'm grateful for our supporters. And, I had a media team meetup today, and people show up and want to talk about our merch store or whatever it is. And so it's like, yes, there are people, but the loudest people in the room are expecting something completely different. They're expecting to claim their token and for you to be able to buy it back immediately. Like I said, we didn't pre-sell our token, and so there was no large bag of token holder anywhere that was going to be able to, bought it for 5 cents and now is selling it for 10 cents, and so now everybody can sell theirs for 10 cents. Like, it just didn't happen that way, because that wasn't the purpose of our token. And so trying to say, like, whoa, everybody, like, you thought you were going to get rich off of this? Like, you haven't paid us anything. We've been providing a service to this world, to this community, for 3 years now. Like, you see what we've been doing, and now this is the next evolution of Collab.land, and we're so excited to bring you on this journey with us. But it didn't land. It was very much like, you're a scam, you're a rug. People calling us a rug. People like death threats, sending me messages. Pretty much every single comment is just like, you're horrible. This is the worst thing ever. Like, this is complete bullshit. Like, this is crap. You guys are total whatever. Every word you could ever imagine. I haven't been that beat up ever online for anything ever. I don't know if I ever will be ever again. But yeah, that was kind of it. And people don't understand, like, number one, all these projects that you got tokens from, you paid. And number two, they all pre-sold tokens. And so that's what you see is dumping on the public, dumping on retail. But Collab.land isn't about that. We're about you. We're about empowerment. We're about working together and building something beautiful together, because that is really the hope of the blockchain, what we're able to unleash together and work together to build it. So I don't want to get emotional. I didn't even get to marketplace, but we can do a whole other show about this. But it was definitely the worst. And people need to know, like, look, there's all these expectations, and if you're trying to change the narrative, and actually I see Rude Moose Candy in the audience, and she's just been an incredible support, and I see Chibi as well, who's our Discord mod lead, and K Bash, who's from our community's an important community member. Like, I see some people here and adore them and love them, and it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have gotten through it as smoothly as I did. But also being older, always want to come back to that, is like, people say, like, oh, being old is whatever, all the derogative things about being old, but being older means life experience,
which a little wisdom.
And wisdom, absolutely. And I'm really lucky to have such a strong partner in James, because we do this together. And we've been living through our values. Really, this is what brought us together and what we've been doing. We're total Berkeley hippies. We formed our family through adoption. The work I did as a lawyer when I graduated from law school was for violence against women, brides that were coming from India into arranged marriages and then being abused. I did a lot of political refugee work. Like, this is just what it is. We're not in this because we want to
make a bag,
pump and dump, or make. I mean, yes, it would be nice, because boy, do I want to have I mean, I have some dreams. I do. I will say I want to have scholarships for my college. Like my dream, low level dream, is to be able to have college scholarships for Berkeley and have scholarships in our name for Berkeley. Absolutely. And then my big dream, so I'm not going to say I don't want money, I do, is to have a building. So it's like, what? Who gets to have a
Wow.
building at a college? I mean, that's like, I don't need a private jet.
Ambitious.
I don't need a private jet, but boy, would I love to have the humanities building be named after us. Like, it's so vain, but I will say I do have aspirations. I'm not going to say no to that. You never know what's in the future. So I'm going to say it out loud what my real dream is, which is to have scholarships and have a building named after us. So yes,
Awesome.
I am vain. I'm vain just like everybody else.
But at least in a good way, right? Like you're speaking into existence something that's going to benefit people long term. Like that's the goal, right? Like,
well,
so
if people want to look us up, right? At some point, people will see the name of the building, and then they'll look us up, and then they'll see what we were about, and that we were pioneers in this space. All of us, every single person in this room. And I have a meeting right now, but I'm going to be a couple minutes late. Every single person in this room is a pioneer right now. So
Absolutely.
own it. Own that as your identity and do something about it. You're not passive. You're not just sitting around. You are active. You're important, and you have the ability to affect change. So I would just recommend everyone in this space to take that personal responsibility. Going back to personal responsibility, take that and make something special with it.
Amazing. Yeah, it sounds like you guys are doing so many phenomenal things, right? Like, rejecting kind of the web to business model of users being the product and reselling their data. Trying to move the Web3 market forward by dropping a token that isn't just a pump and dump, that isn't, a pre-sold token, right? Like that isn't just another way of making a bag, but a way of inviting the community to build. I think this is phenomenal stuff. I wish we had more time. We'll definitely have to do this again. I don't want to keep you.
Yeah,
from
we
the
have
call.
to have you back on.
Yeah.
Please do. I would love to be on, and it doesn't even have to be all about me. I just love to be a part. I'm a SupDuck holder, like I said, 2 years plus. I adore Frankie as a person as well. He actually was the art director for the first version of the Collab.land art, which is where I first met Frankie. But James, my partner, James, knows Frankie back from Spank Chain, and even before that, they both worked at Zynga. So it's like we have a long relationship with Frankie, and I just adore him for the artistic spirit that he is. So yeah, I'd love to. Don't be strangers, SupDucks. I'm here.
We won't. Yeah, let's keep this rolling. Like, let's let you be responsible and get to your next call. And thank you so much for the time today. Again, I'm sorry I was a little bit late. This has been awesome, and we will definitely do it again soon.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Sups
thanks.
up, everyone.
Sups up.
What's up, everyone?
Sups
Peace.
up. Yeah, that's been an epic conversation. We'll definitely try to run that back up. But that brings us to the hour, man. We've run over. Highly recommend everyone hit that little retweet button, comment in the comment section,
and this one's
so
going to be
more
on
people
YouTube
get
as
to
well.
see.
So once this drops,
Yeah.
everyone retweet it, because this was a good space.
Yeah, we want to get these spaces, especially these informative spaces, we want to get them out on the timeline. People can listen back and hear some crazy stuff of what's going on and what has been going on. Because, man, there was a lot. There was a packed little 1 hour session. So, Billy, I'm sure you're going to listen to the first half later
Absolutely.
on. But that is a wrap. We'll see you back next Friday, man. Sup in the Pond next week, same time. Well, actually, an hour later, starting now next week. Let's go. Sup.
Let's do it. Appreciate y'all.